As I'm hearing about Zeus Network being exposed for allegedly trying to offer up Aaron the plumber and how they may have deals with entities on the other side, that got me thinking a lot about reality TV as a whole and TV networks. So just ride with me on this one. One thing I want to point out is the exchange of power within the TV network space, because like back in the day, MTV used to be really popular and it seems like they were replaced with Revolve until Diddy got into all of that mess. And we know that Diddy was involved in affecting various forms of things, whether it was people or substances, stuff like that, right? So MTV was replaced by Revolve, in my opinion. And then you see E Network, which after the Kardashians left to go to Hulu, who even watches E Network anymore? I mean, TV as a whole has, or cable TV as a whole has really fallen and been replaced by streaming, which many of us know because a lot of us don't have cable anymore, right? But it just seems like with the Kardashians going over to Hulu, that was like the final nail in the coffin for E Network. And then it seems like Zeus Network has replaced Oxygen, because what happened to Oxygen? Like Bad Girls Club used to be on Oxygen, and Oxygen was a legit network because they used to have like Snapped on there and like a couple other really good, interesting shows. But it just seems like, again, with the fall of like cable, there's been the rise in, yes, streaming and just new networks as a whole. And I mention that because we're in a time of what, the age of Aquarius, where we are watching old power structures fall and new ones rise. I've heard this also be described as like the old gods are coming back, because we hear a lot about, just AI and people or entities from other places like maybe coming here soon or making a reappearance soon. So it is definitely the time of like the transfer of power. Now let's take it back to Zeus Network. I recall that Black China is the one who really made them mainstream. And Black China used to have that thing tattooed on her behind. And then Natalie Nunn got on that network and then, pioneered Baddies, right? But before Natalie Nunn had Baddies, she used to be on Bad Girls Club. And she used to always talk about how like she ran LA. And of course, at the time, we all thought that she was like bullshitting, but if you pay attention, low key, she might be related to Jay Leno, because the chin comes from somewhere, and she's like, "Oh, I run LA," right? Now you may think I'm being crazy, but like if you look at Tom Cruise's adopted son, that's clearly his kid, and there's a lot of that going on in Hollywood where it's a lot of like secret black kids or secret like mixed kids who are the offspring of like very popular, powerful like YT people in Hollywood. So Natalie Nunn's running around on Bad Girls Club talking about how she runs LA. Fast forward a couple years, she goes to join OnlyFans. And then after OnlyFans, she joins Baddies. Now, I want to connect that to Blueface and Krishan, right? Because Blueface had an OnlyFans show. And that's how, I guess, he met Krishan. Krishan ended up becoming a popular character on that show, and then she signs a record deal with Blueface, just how Jaden Alexis is signed in a record deal with Blueface. And then where does Krishan end up? On Baddies, right? And I also want to mention with Natalie Nunn doing OnlyFans, P-Pal Lawrence Fishburne's daughter, and I believe Steven Spielberg's, again, another YT person in Hollywood that's very powerful, that has a daughter who is allegedly adopted, who is of melanated hue. And I believe she was like involved in like X work at some point, if she's not still involved with it. But I just recalled that, right? So that's 3 people allegedly who are mixed and are connected to the Hollywood YT power structure, who eventually moved on to do a certain kind of black market business. So I just want to mention that. But then also let's talk about like Tiffany Pollard, how y'all exposed how allegedly she's connected to the Rothschilds, her and her mother, and they were what, on reality TV. So just peep that. So Krishan ends up on Baddies, and like now she's like all popular. pushing whatever agenda. And then I'm just remembering how like Stunna Girl also like was on Baddies before like getting involved in the music industry. And doesn't she run like Red Rum TV? We know that Red Rum comes from The Shining, and you know what that means backwards. And she eventually gets like powed at, and she survives, but then she like leaves her man, and like she does a song with JT. Y'all know that JT is connected to those people in the fashion industry, and now like Stunna Girl is continuing to like make waves in the music scene. But I'm trying to point out how like reality TV can be a pipeline into different industries. Some of them, the music industry, some of them like the African business. Like, why do you think Carisha went from helping Diddy to now her and Santana are like working with Natalie Nunn, on Baddies? Why do you think so many female rappers have gotten involved with Baddies? Because I've already told you guys, there's no money to be made in the music industry. It's all a front. They really make their money like, moving things back and forth and selling private things. Okay. Now, I also want to bring up Nicki Minaj's sister Ming Lee, right? Because Ming Lee signed a record deal with Chaotic. Chaotic came from VH1's Love and Hip Hop. Just like Suki, okay? Suki Hana, like, came from a record deal, then ends up on Love and Hip Hop. And what is she pushing? Like this super crazy agenda. Suki Hana is also connected to Sexy Red. Sexy Red has been exposed, which many of us knew, as a government employee. Now, Ming Lee signs a deal with Chaotic, right? And then what does she do next? Like, go get involved with people from Baddies. Because her music not gonna sell. I'm not here to be mean, but I don't think people are checking for Ming Lee's music like that. But part of the record deal was like, okay, I'm gonna put you on this TV show. That's why I was saying, like, with Nikki, Baby, and Gelo, I kind of peeped that, like, just notice how ever since he dropped music, now, like, first of all, okay, let me rewind. Nikki, Baby used to be on what? Love and Hip Hop. She gets with Gelo. Gelo used to also do reality TV with his family, and then basketball doesn't work out. Now he's doing music. Next thing you know, him and Nikki Baby start having problems. And now they're like all over the black blogs. I've already told you guys, which you should be able to peep, that the black blogs are like a part of the system. They get paid to like post certain things to like, keep you in a particular mindset or program. But like all of a sudden now him and Nikki Baby are having all these problems. And I've pointed this out, but TikTok doesn't usually push the video, and then when they do push it, y'all don't believe me anyway. Why do you think all of a sudden, now that Gelo was signed and has like a hit, now him and Nikki are having issues? Why do you think just the way that his career is going and the way that they've like rolled out his music and music videos, it's just weird, because it just seems like they don't really take him serious as an artist, because he's not having the same kind of rollout as Ice Spice or Glorilla or just pick anybody else who they really want to push. Shit, even a Sexy Red, anybody else that they really want to push as a legit artist. No, like, he's got a song here and there, a little music video budget, here and there, but he signed a major record deal, because I've always said that the play is going to be putting him on a reality TV show. That's why he really got all that money. That's why him and Nikki Baby started having all these problems, is because it's all a setup for him to do reality TV. So I just want to share with you how I'm connecting all this stuff. Let's talk in the comments.